it was so construed and taken out of context, and things were left out when it was being when things were being reported, and it created a complete narrative that is absolutely not the case, not true. I had gotten in, I had found myself in some hot water when I was, being stupid and responded to somebody who had created a Finsta, like a fake Instagram, and were sending me, messages, and I had responded, and it got to a certain point, and then I had realized, oh my gosh, like, I think this is, not entirely what it seems or what they've presented it as. And I stopped communicating with them because I found out, okay, I think this person's not who they're, this isn't the case. And I stopped communicating. That sent that person into a total tailspin. They ended up, going after my wife and going after, telling me, threatening me, and doing all of these things. And so I had ended up getting in a little bit of trouble because of these text messages. But that's all it was. It was just just some text messages. And well, when you go and you look me up and you see the reports, I mean, it's like I was sending nudes, and I was getting inappropriate pictures, and I was physical with this person at a concert, or that person at a concert, or I did this and that, and none of that was the case. And it was all investigated in my case, through witnesses and for digital forensics. They'd taken my phones and subpoenaed my Instagrams and social media and all that, and everything that was said came up false. Came up. There was no proof of any of that in there, which there would have been. I mean, if there's it's digital forensics. Like, if it's there, it's there. If it's not, it's not. You can't even delete. I mean, if you try to delete it, they're gonna find what they need to find. And then luckily for any of the physical stuff that happened in a concert, I had, so many witnesses that came out, that not even on my side, but on the accuser's side, where they were like, what are you talking? We were there the whole time. This didn't occur. They were never here alone. This didn't occur. And so none of that, moved forward as far as charges or anything. All that could move forward was that, I was stupid and responded to some text messages. And that's what I essentially ended up getting charged with.
Yeah.
But if you go and you read anything, I mean, it wasn't even an assault case. My case wasn't even there was no sexual assault, no assault, no physical anything in any of the charges and any of the what I had to go through. But if you go and look me up, it's like Drake Bell charged with sexual assault. Drake Bell has to register as a sex offender. I'm like, it wasn't even a sex case.
Yeah. And
it wasn't even an assault case. It was. It had nothing to do with that.
And it's frustrating that you can't do anything about fake news. Like, there's no way you can retaliate.
No, what am I going to do? Go sue in some publication, and then a few days later they write an article, bashing me, and then at the very end they're like, oh, by the way, we fixed a couple of the things. I mean, nobody reads that. They just read the first headline, then they're done.
Yeah, that's a problem with buzz reporting and headline culture.
Yeah.
There's actually a really good book about from a guy called Ryan Holiday. That's called, I think it's called Trust Me, I'm Lying.
Oh, yeah.
And it's a really good book about how fake news are constructed.
Yeah.
And he was like this marketing guy from American Apparel, and he was hired as a promotion manager for a movie.
Mm-hmm.
I think the director was Tucker Max, something like that. And he wanted to create this experiment where he wanted to fabricate a news. So what he did was that he he bought like this space in the freeway, a big sign,
Yep.
where he placed a poster of the movie, and then he auto vandalized the poster, and he created a blog writing the story about how some people wanted that movie to be censored.
Oh,
So
wow.
what he did was that he sent that link from that blog that he created to a really small blog, and once the small blog beat the hook,
Yep.
he sent that link to a bigger blog, and then to a bigger blog, and then he eventually ended up in Fox News and CNN with a fake news. So he
Yep.
really exposed the way that headline culture works,
Yeah.
and how fake news are created.
Yeah, I mean, after I was sentenced for what I went through, there were headlines saying that, Drake Bell is going to have to register as a sex offender in California. I mean, this is not.
Yeah.
It wasn't even a sex case. I hate talking like this, but that wasn't what happened.
Yeah.
And that wasn't why I was there, and that's not why I. And the reason I pled guilty to even the charges that I was charged with was because my attorney looked at me and said, look, I'd already spent, so much money on representation and investigation and all this stuff just to defend myself. And they said, well, now look, this is what a trial is going to look like. You're going to go, it's going to be 2 or 3 weeks. My wife and I had just had a son. So they're like, your son's going to be sitting behind you watching this happen, and the media is going to twist it any way they want that's going to make it the most clickable as possible. And it's going to be every day. People are going to be watching what's happening every day. And anybody is going to be able to say anything they want on the stand, whether it's true or not. And unfortunately, we see guilty people walk away and innocent people go to jail every day.
Yeah.
And I just looked at them and I was like, what? Well, what's the other option? Said the other option is you take responsibility for this here and what you did here. You take responsibility for that, and we charge you. You'll get, probation, community service, and you won't miss a day in California with your son. And I said, I'll take the one where I don't miss a day in California with my son. And so that's why I pleaded guilty. But now it goes over. Drake Bell pleads guilty. It's like, no, I was presented with 2 options. You would have done the same thing, And then it says pled guilty to sexual assault, and it's like, none of that's true. None of that is remotely true, and unfortunately, it's put a huge stain on everything that I've worked for and everything that I've been doing. And another bummer is I know I'm vague about it, but because I just haven't really found the time or the place or been comfortable enough to discuss really what I've gone through in Hollywood and my story. But being labeled these things that I've been called in these past, couple years, it's really hard. It's really difficult when there are, actual, perpetrators out there that are, doing really bad things and things that have happened to me and now I'm being, labeled I'm being called all these different things, and anybody can just make a TikTok or Instagram post and say, "Oh, he's this and that," and people believe it immediately. Yeah. It's so amazing how, depending on how many likes it has, raises the believability of whatever that person's saying when it's completely false. Like for example, I made a joke on my social media, and changed my name to Campana. Like I was just like on my social media, I was like, "Yeah, hey, Drake Campana." And then all of a sudden, there were news reports because somebody made a TikTok
That's incredible.
that Drake Bell changed his name, moved to Mexico, became a citizen, is running away from everything that he's going through in the United States. All the I'm going,
that's crazy.
but not just a TikTok. Actual newspapers, actual publications saying Drake Bell changed his name and moved to Mexico. You know, I mean, I was in. I've been in so many different interview situations, and they're like, "So, are you still living in Mexico?" I'm like,
Yeah.
"That was a joke. Like, how are you?" And because some, you know,
it exposes so much about the system.
Yeah,
the fact that one TikTok can reach out to headlines of big newspapers.
And big newspapers think it's that easy to just become a citizen of Mexico and move here. And I mean, what it took me like 3 weeks.
Yeah.
By the time they broke the story and everybody and they take that and then they take what all of these other clickbait things about me and they mush them together. And they're like, oh, that's why he moved to Mexico and changed his name. It's to get away from this and this and this. I'm like, I never moved to Mexico. I mean, I'd love to.
Yeah.
I've never changed my name. This isn't what I got in trouble for. This is not what. This is. I mean, you know, even during my sentencing, when you know this accuser said everything that she said, even the judge said, "Okay, I don't know what all that was, but that's not why we're here.
This is like new material.
Yeah, this is new. This is a litany of allegations that we haven't heard, and I have to bring everybody back to why we're here today, and it's over these few messages, and you know we all make mistakes. You know, we all screw up, and you know, I think like I said, we're held to such a high standard where it's almost like we're not allowed to mess up, but who doesn't?
Yeah,
you know, I mean, who's not waking up sometimes on a Saturday going, oh man, why did I do that last night? Or I should have done this or I should have done that. But unfortunately with us, it sticks. You know, you guys get, you know, people get to go through what they go through, but for us, unfortunately, it's just a different story.
Yeah, well, it's crazy that like the media has the same leverage on a public figure that the Hollywood agents used to have on an actor.
Completely.
No? Because they know there's no repercussions for sharing fake news.
Yep.
And they just add an apology at the end of the note, which anybody reads.
Yep. But
the big problem with the media is that the metric that incentivizes the journalist used to be credibility, and now it's just clicks.
Now it's clicks.
So when credibility takes this second stance, it doesn't matter if it's true or not.
Exactly.
If it gets shared, and I've seen how it works, because in this podcast, I have my few share of scandals, and I've seen how the machinery works. It's usually maybe 10 or 20 people that start tweeting some rumors or some fake news, and then the same people that started tweeting this rumor work in some newspapers, and they start buzz reporting. They create an article telling everybody that some people are tweeting that Roberto said some things.
Yep.
But it's the same. It's the same people making the noise that are sharing the news.
Totally.
And then once it's in the media, now everybody can have like this pamphlet where they can share it with everyone else, and that's how you create fake news.
Yep.
What happened to you of the rumor of you moving to Mexico and changing your name? It's a great example of this.
Yeah, huge.
And it's crazy.
Huge. And people believe it, and
but
then it makes it from print.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden you're watching a TV show, you know, a morning show or something, and they're like, they tell some great story about you. Oh, you know, Drake came to Mexico and had a great except, you know, people, all these people came, he had a great reception and this and that. Oh, but don't forget, he pled guilty to sexual assault on a 15-year-old last year. And you're like,
yeah, fuck them.
No, he didn't. Yeah. No, he didn't.
Yeah.
No, he didn't.
Yeah, it's fake.
Like, I mean, there's third person, but no, I didn't, you know? And that's not, but they'll say it right on the show, and then the show ends and goes on to something else, and I'm like, great, that's what you just left the audience with.
Yeah.
And it's not true.
And the irony of all this is that the fact that the news spread that you moved to Mexico, it's like the biggest example of what is happening.
Yeah.
So you have like this proof that this thing is something that the media is fabricating and it's
Yep.
sharing because it's what attracts more viewers.
Yep.
Or more readers.
Yep.
Yeah.
And then you see it mutate, right?
Yeah.
You see it go from, oh, Drake Bell changed his name and moved to Mexico.
Yeah, like this broken telephone game.
Drake
yeah.
Bell changed his name and moved to Mexico because he's escaping these allegations, and and then it just grows and it grows and it grows.
It's
and it grows
one-upping.
and it grows.
Every time it's one-upping,
and
one-upping.
And I'm like,
Yeah.
no, still here in California at my same house, just doing my thing, so yeah, it's anyway, it's a shame.
I'm sorry you had to go through that, my friend, really.
Yeah, it's tough.